The rain had been falling for hours, heavy, merciless, like the sky was weeping for her. Sasha wiped the water from her face as she ran through the dim alley, clutching a phone that wouldn't stop ringing. Her heart pounded in her chest like a drum. The man on the other end wasn't her brother. It was someone else. Someone terrifying. "Miss Sasha," a cold male voice slid through the speaker, smooth and dangerous. "You're late." "Please," she panted. "I'm almost there. Don't hurt him. Please, I'm begging you." "Begging won't help your brother now," the man replied. "Only your presence will." The line went dead. Sasha stopped running for a second, gasping for air. The neon lights of Seoul flickered above her, foreign, dizzying, almost unreal. She still wasn't used to it even after 2 years. When she and her brother, Tund, left Nigeria for a better life, this city had seemed full of promises. Now it felt like a trap. A place where people like her didn't belong. A place that swallowed the desperate. Hi lovely viewers. Before we continue with this story, please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming stories. Thank you so much for your support, and now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. She pushed open the steel door of a backstreet club, the one everyone said was owned by the Beck Mafia, one of the most ruthless families in Seoul. Loud music and cigarette smoke hit her in a wave. Men in suits turned to stare. Her wet dress clung to her skin. Every step she took felt like walking into hell. A tall man in black approached her immediately. His sharp eyes scanned her like he was reading her entire life. "You're Sasha." "Yes." "Where's my brother?" she demanded, trembling. He didn't answer. He just gestured for her to follow. "The boss has been waiting." She followed him through a narrow hallway, her shoes squeaking on the marble. Her stomach twisted. The smell of whiskey, leather, and danger filled the air. The office door opened. And there he was. Kuang's son. The name alone made people go silent. The youngest mafia leader in South Korea, ruthless enough to make grown men beg for mercy. He sat behind a black desk, head slightly tilted, fingers tracing the edge of a crystal glass. His sharp jawline caught the dim light. Tattoos snaked up his neck and disappeared under his collar. His eyes, cold, calculating, lifted and locked on her. "So," he said, voice smooth and deep, "this is the girl who came all the way from Africa to save her brother." Sasha froze. His Korean accent was clean, but his English was sharp, cutting like he used it to wound. "Where is Tund?" she said, her voice trembling. Kuang's son leaned back in his chair, a faint smirk touching his lips. "Your brother is alive. For now. Please." "He didn't do anything wrong," she whispered. "He was just trying to steal from me?" Kuang's son interrupted, eyes narrowing. 5 million won worth of my merchandise. You call that nothing wrong?" Her heart sank. "He didn't know, he's young. Please, I'll pay you back. Just let him go." He chuckled lowly as if her words were amusing. "Pay me back? Do you even know how much that is?" Sasha's throat tightened. "I'll find a way. I swear." Kuang's son stood up slowly. He was tall, intimidatingly so, and every move carried quiet power. He circled the desk and stopped right in front of her. His cologne hit her, dark and spicy. His gaze burned into her face. "You think I run a charity?" he said softly. "This isn't a church. This is business." Her breathing quickened. "Then, what do you want?" He tilted his head slightly, studying her like a hunter studying prey. "Your brother offered something, in exchange for his life." Her stomach turned. What? He said his sister was beautiful. Different. A cruel smile touched his lips. "He said you'd do anything to save him." Sasha's blood ran cold. "He didn't. No, he wouldn't." "Oh, he did," Kuang's son said, voice hardening. "He offered you." Her knees nearly gave out. "No, please, please don't do this." "Do you want your brother to live?" he cut in. Tears filled her eyes. "Yes, but not like this." "Then tell me, Sasha," he said, stepping closer, his voice a whisper now. "What else do you have to give? Money? Power? Connections?" She stayed silent. He leaned in, his breath brushing her ear. "You have nothing but your body. And one night with it will save your brother's life." Her stomach dropped. She took a step back, shaking her head. "That's sick." Kuang's son smirked, turning away. So is stealing from the Mafia. Please, she cried, I'll work for you. Clean your clubs, your offices, anything. Just. He turned sharply, his eyes hard as steel. You don't get to bargain. Your brother made the offer. I'm simply collecting. The door opened. 2 guards dragged in Tund, bruised and trembling. Dee, he gasped when he saw her, tears streaking his face. Don't, please don't do it. Sasha's heart shattered. Oh my God, Tund, what did you do? I just wanted to help, he cried. I thought if I sold the stuff I could pay your school. Kuang raised a hand and the guards shoved Tund to the floor. Sasha dropped beside him, clutching his face. Shoo, it's okay, I'm here. He shook his head violently. No, you can't do this. Don't let him touch you, please. Kuang's voice cut through the moment like a blade. Decide, Sasha. Your brother dies tonight, or you come to my penthouse. Sasha looked up at him, eyes wide with disbelief. You can't just. 3 seconds, he said coldly, checking his watch. 1, 2. Stop, she screamed. Stop, please. Her voice broke. Tund sobbed. Dee, no. She turned to her brother, cupping his face. I can't lose you. You're all I have. Dee, please, I'll find another way. There's no other way, she whispered. Not anymore. Kuang's expression didn't change. Good. My car's waiting outside. The guards dragged Tund out, his voice cracking as he begged them to stop, his shoes scraping against the marble floor. The heavy door slammed shut behind him, leaving only the echo of his pleas hanging in the air. Sasha stood there trembling. Her breath hitched as she stared at Kuang across the room. He didn't even glance at her. Calmly, he poured himself another glass of whiskey, the ice clinking like it was any other night and not the wreckage of hers. You'll regret this, she said, her voice low, trembling between anger and disbelief. Kuang finally lifted his eyes to her. His expression was unreadable, his tone cool and steady. Maybe, he said, swirling the glass lazily, but you'll still come. Her stomach tightened. She tore her gaze away, jaw clenched so hard it ached. Every part of her wanted to spit in his face, wipe that calm off him. But the maddening part was that he was breathtaking. Even his cruelty looked beautiful, and that infuriated her more than anything. That night, Seoul felt colder than ever. In the backseat of his sleek black car, Sasha sat rigid, her trembling hands clasped tightly in her lap. Outside, the city lights streaked past, neon flashes of color blurring into nothingness. Each one felt distant, like a world she no longer belonged to. Kuang lounged beside her, the dim glow from the passing signs cutting across his sharp features. His gaze lingered on her reflection in the window, her lips pressed tight, eyes burning with defiance. He didn't know why he'd held back earlier. Normally, anyone who talked to him like that would have paid for it. But with her, he couldn't explain it. Something about that furious little face made him pause instead of lash out. You hate me, he said suddenly, voice low, almost curious. She didn't answer. He smirked faintly. Good. Hate keeps people alive. She turned toward him, tears in her eyes. Do you even have a soul? For a brief second, something flickered in his gaze. Not anymore. The car stopped in front of a towering glass building that reached into the night sky. She could barely breathe as he led her inside, past guards who bowed without meeting her eyes. The elevator ride was silent, unbearable. At the top floor, he opened the door to a penthouse that looked more like a world above the world. Black marble floors, panoramic windows, and a bed too big for comfort. Her chest tightened. So this is how you live. Taking from others. He shrugged out of his jacket. Everyone takes from someone. She backed away when he stepped closer, shaking. Don't touch me. He stopped watching her. For the first time he didn't smile. You think I want this? He said quietly. That I enjoy forcing anyone? I don't. But debts are debts. You could forgive it, she said bitterly. I don't forgive, he replied. Sasha swallowed hard, tears falling silently. Then I'll hate you forever. He nodded once. Then hate me. But your brother will live. When the lights dimmed and silence swallowed the city, Sasha knew her life would never be the same. That night she gave away her innocence not for love, but for blood. And the man who took it didn't know he'd just cursed himself too. Because in saving her brother, she had damned them both. The penthouse was too quiet. Sasha stood near the wall, trembling, staring at the city lights through the glass windows. Seoul glowed below her like a living thing, neon veins pulsing through darkness. But up here everything felt dead. Kuang poured himself another drink, his back to her. The sound of the ice clinking against the glass broke the silence. "You can sit," he said without looking back. "I'd rather stand," she replied, voice low but steady. He turned, raising an eyebrow. "You're brave for someone who's terrified." "I'm not brave," she whispered. "Just desperate." Kuang studied her for a moment, then set his glass down. "Desperation makes people do terrible things." "Like you," she shot back. A faint smirk crossed his face. "Exactly like me." He stepped closer. His presence filled the room, heavy, suffocating. Sasha tried not to back away, but her body betrayed her. He noticed. "You're shaking." "Because you're a monster," she said through clenched teeth. He tilted his head slightly. "And yet you came." Her throat tightened. "For my brother." His voice softened, dangerously calm. "Good. Then remember that before you hate yourself for what's about to happen." He moved past her and sat on the edge of the bed, leaning back casually like he wasn't about to destroy someone's life. "Come here." Sasha didn't move. "Come," he repeated, his tone colder now. Her feet felt like they were glued to the marble. Every instinct screamed to run, but the image of Tun's bruised face flashed before her eyes. That was enough. Slowly she walked toward him. Kuang gaze trailed up her body, calculated, assessing, not lustful but possessive. Like he was memorizing the price of something rare. His voice dropped lower. "Have you ever been with a man before?" Sasha's chest tightened. "No." His jaw flexed. For a second his expression shifted, something almost like guilt flickered across it, but then it was gone. He reached for her wrist. She flinched, but he only brushed his thumb over her pulse. "So fragile," he murmured. "You shouldn't be here." "Then let me go," she breathed. "I can't." Her eyes glistened. "Why? You already have power. Money. Fear. Why take this too?" "Because you made me curious," he said simply. "And I don't like being curious about anyone." She pulled her hand away. "You don't get to ruin people just because you're curious." He chuckled quietly. "In my world I do." The air between them thickened. Sasha wanted to scream, to break something, but her body refused to move. He stood, towering over her now. His fingers brushed her chin, lifting it slightly. "Look at me." She did, reluctantly, and for the first time she saw something in his eyes that wasn't cruelty. It was emptiness. "How did you end up here?" he asked suddenly. "What?" He stepped closer. "You came from Africa, right? Nigeria?" Her lips parted. "How do you know that?" "I checked," he said almost casually. "You and your brother came 2 years ago. No parents. No family. Just each other." She swallowed hard. "Then you know why I can't lose him." Kuang expression softened for a fraction of a second. "You remind me of someone I used to know." "Someone you destroyed?" she said bitterly. His jaw tightened. "Someone who destroyed me first." Silence. He turned away, setting his drink down again. "You still have a chance to walk out of here. I'll let your brother go and you can disappear." Sasha blinked, confused. "What?" "You heard me," he said quietly. "I'm giving you a choice." Her chest rose and fell rapidly. Hope flared and then suspicion. "What's the catch?" Kuang met her eyes. "If you leave, I'll make sure your brother never touches my business again. But I'll also make sure you never see him again." Her heart dropped. "You'd send him away?" "I'd relocate him. He'd be safe, but not with you." Tears filled her eyes. "You're evil." He gave a faint, bitter smile. "I never said I wasn't." Sasha's hands clenched into fists. "Then I'll stay." Kuang blinked. "You're choosing this?" "I'm choosing him," she said firmly. Something in his gaze darkened, admiration, anger, desire, she couldn't tell. "Then don't look at me like I'm the only monster here." When he reached for her again, his touch was colder, deliberate. The city lights flickered through the glass as if watching silently. Her mind screamed to fight back, but her heart kept whispering for Tund. Every button, every movement felt like erasing another part of herself. She closed her eyes when his lips brushed her collarbone. Don't, she whispered, trembling. Don't pretend this means anything. He froze. You think I pretend? You don't care about anyone, she said, tears slipping down her cheeks. You just take until there's nothing left. For a second's silence. Then his voice low and hoarse. You're right. And yet his hands slowed, almost careful. The roughness he was known for wasn't there this time. His touch lingered instead, uncertain, like he was fighting something deep inside himself. He shouldn't care. He told himself that over and over. But the way the city lights brushed against her skin made it hard to breathe. Her brown complexion glowed under the soft shimmer of the room lights, and his fingers traced the line of her cheek down to her trembling hands. His pulse thudded hard in his chest, the heat between them growing, confusing him more with every second. Kuang Sun's jaw tightened. He couldn't get over the fact that she had sold her virginity to him, to clear her brother's debt. The thought burned through him, twisting with guilt and something darker. Part of him wished he could take it back. The other part reminded him coldly that it was business, nothing more. But as he looked at her now, eyes glistening with unshed tears and silent defiance, it didn't feel like business anymore. When it was over, she lay still, staring at the ceiling, her heart hollow. He sat on the edge of the bed, shirt half undone, running a hand through his hair. The silence between them was deafening. Your brother will be released by morning, he said finally. She didn't respond. He looked over his shoulder. You got what you wanted. Sasha turned her face away. No. You did. He exhaled slowly as if the words stung. You think I enjoyed this? Didn't you? She whispered. His jaw tightened. No. She sat up abruptly, clutching the sheets around her. Then why do it? Because I had to remind myself who I am, he said coldly. A man who doesn't get attached. She laughed bitterly. Congratulations. You just destroyed someone who already had nothing. He looked at her for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he stood and buttoned his shirt. There's money on the table. Enough for you to start over. You'll need it. I don't want your money, she spat. You'll take it, he replied simply, walking toward the door. Kuang Sun, she called suddenly. Her voice cracked. If you ever see me again, pretend you don't. He paused at the doorway. For the briefest moment, his shoulders stiffened. Then quietly, I wish I could. And he was gone. Sasha sat there in silence, staring at the city that glittered like nothing had happened. She waited until the tears blurred the lights before she allowed herself to break. Her sobs echoed softly through the empty penthouse, a sound the walls would remember long after she left. By morning she was gone. By morning Tund was free. And by morning, Kuang Sun found himself unsettled in a way he couldn't explain. Her absence clung to him like smoke. No matter how many calls he answered or deals he tried to close, her face kept flashing through his mind. Those trembling hands, that stubborn look in her eyes. It made no sense. Women never lingered in his thoughts. They came and went like passing shadows. But this one, she was different, and it was messing with his focus. With a frustrated growl, he ran a hand through his hair and shook his head, forcing his attention back to the documents on his desk. Business first. Always business. The bus jolted over a crack in the road, shaking Sasha awake. For a second she didn't know where she was. Then she remembered. Her fingers tightened around the small brown envelope in her lap. The money he'd left on the nightstand. She'd sworn she wouldn't take it, but the guard had shoved it into her hand before she left. Boss's orders. She wanted to throw it out the window. But she couldn't. Not when rent was overdue and Tund needed medicine for the bruises. She stumbled into their tiny apartment on the outskirts of Seoul just as the sun broke through the fog. Tund was sitting on the couch, bandaged, eyes swollen from crying. Dee. His voice cracked when he saw her. He let me go. I thought he... Sasha forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. It's over. He stood and hugged her so tightly she could barely breathe. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Stop. She pulled back, wiping his tears. We're safe now, that's what matters. But what did you do? He whispered. Nothing you need to know, she said sharply. Tund flinched. Dee, please tell me. Don't ask me again. Her tone came out colder than she meant, but she couldn't help it. If she said the words out loud, she'd fall apart. He nodded slowly, guilt flooding his eyes. I'll fix this. I'll work. I'll. She cupped his face, her voice softening. No, Tund. You'll go to school. You'll finish what we started. Tund swallowed hard. And you? Sasha smiled weakly. I'll figure something out. That night she couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes she saw Kuang Sun's face. His expression when he said, I wish I could. The city outside buzzed with life, but inside the room, everything felt still. She pressed her hand against her chest trying to calm her heart, but it kept pounding like it wanted to break free. She wanted to hate him. He thought she did. But somewhere beneath the anger something colder was growing. Fear that she hadn't really escaped him at all. Meanwhile, Kuang Sun sat alone in his penthouse, staring at the untouched drink on his table. The city was loud below, yet all he could hear was her voice echoing in his head. You don't have a soul. He told himself he didn't. He'd built an empire on that truth. So why did it feel like something had cracked? Boss, one of his men Junki entered quietly. The girl and her brother left the city limits. They're not a threat. Good, Kuang Sun said without emotion. Should we keep tabs on them? He hesitated. No. Junki nodded and left. The moment the door shut, Kuang Sun rubbed his temples. He hadn't slept either. Every time he closed his eyes he saw her tears, the tremor in her voice. The way she looked at him, not with fear but with disappointment. Like he'd failed some unspoken test of being human. He poured another drink. Tasted like guilt. Days turned into weeks. Sasha found a job cleaning tables at a small cafe. It was exhausting but it kept her mind busy. She kept her head down, refused to talk about the past, and made sure Tund stayed away from anyone who looked remotely dangerous. Still, the nightmares didn't stop. Sometimes she woke up sweating, convinced she heard his voice. Other nights she dreamed of his eyes, cold, unreadable, and the way he'd looked at her right before she left. One afternoon her boss, Mrs. Han, called from the kitchen. Sasha, customers need refills. Coming, she replied, balancing 2 trays. At the corner table sat a group of businessmen, and one man who made her heart skip. Black suit. Tattoos peeking from his collar. Watching her. She froze for a heartbeat. Then she blinked and he was gone. Just another stranger in a crowd. Get it together, she whispered to herself, forcing a smile for the next customer. But that night, walking home, she kept glancing over her shoulder. The streetlights hummed. Every shadow looked like him. Back in the penthouse, Kuang Sun slammed his phone shut after the 5th ignored call from his lawyer. Problem? Junki asked carefully. None of your business, Kuang Sun muttered. Boss. Are you sure you don't want to know where she went? Kuang Sun's fingers drummed against the desk. He hated himself for even hesitating. She's not my problem, he said finally. But the lie sat heavy in his chest. The snow had started early that year. Seoul streets shimmered white beneath the streetlights, and Sasha watched the flakes slide down the cafe window as she wiped the last table. Her boss called from behind the counter. You can close up, Sasha. Go home before you freeze. Nay, she murmured, hanging her apron on the hook. She'd picked up enough Korean to get by, though the accent still clung to her words. Outside, the cold bit through her coat. She wrapped her scarf tighter and whispered, almost payday, just one more week. No brother waiting at home anymore. Tund had finally gone back to Lagos. She'd sold half her clothes to buy his plane ticket after a charity foundation offered him a scholarship. He'd cried at the airport, promising to send money. She'd smiled until he disappeared beyond the gate, then sobbed until her throat burned. Now it was just her. Quiet, simple, safe, or so she thought. The nausea started the next morning. At first she blamed it on spoiled milk. Then on exhaustion. By the 3rd day, when the smell of coffee made her dizzy, she knew something was wrong. In the bathroom mirror, her reflection looked pale, haunted. She pulled the small paper bag from the pharmacy shelf like it might explode and hid it in her jacket all the way home. The test took less than a minute. The result felt like it lasted forever. 2 red lines. Her breath hitched. No, she whispered. No, no, no. She sank to the floor, clutching the test, her whole body shaking. The world spun. It couldn't be real. It couldn't. That night was supposed to be over. Buried. But life had other plans. Tears stung her eyes as she whispered into the silence. Kuang. 3 days later she sat in the clinic, trying not to listen to the nurse's soft voice. "You're about 8 weeks along," the woman said kindly. "You should start prenatal vitamins soon." Sasha stared at the wall. "There's no father." "That's okay," the nurse said. "You're strong. You'll be fine." Strong. Everyone kept calling her that. If they knew the truth they wouldn't. That night she couldn't stop pacing her apartment. She pulled out her phone, thumb hovering over the search bar. Beck Mafia leader Kuang. Hundreds of results appeared. Photos of him in sleek suits, stories about illegal trades, whispers of blood and power. One image caught her breath. He was standing beside a black car, surrounded by bodyguards, face unreadable as ever. The same man who'd looked down at her and said, "Hate keeps people alive." Her stomach twisted. She deleted the search history and threw the phone across the couch. "No," she muttered. "He'll never know." But then again she couldn't raise the baby alone. Not by cleaning tables, washing dishes and serving customers all day. Reality hit her hard. She needed to tell him. At least she knew where he lived. After her shift that evening, Sasha made her way to Kwangsun's penthouse. Her heart pounded as she stood by the massive iron gates, the city lights glimmering on the sleek cars passing by. Just as she was about to lose her nerve, she saw him drive in, his black car gliding smoothly through the gate. Luck, she thought. But it didn't last long. The gateman stepped in her way before she could take a step forward. "You can't enter," he barked, eyeing her from head to toe. "Please, it's something important," she said quickly, voice trembling. He scoffed. "Are you deaf or what? You can't enter, it's simple as that. And you?" His eyes narrowed, his tone sharp. "You're a foreigner. What makes you think you've got the right to meet someone like him?" Sasha's fists clenched by her sides, anger and fear twisting in her chest. "Then tell him I'm pregnant with his child." The guard blinked, then burst into laughter that made her stomach turn. "Pregnant?" he repeated between chuckles. "Do yourself a favor, girl. Get rid of it. Otherwise, you might not wake up to see tomorrow." The words hit her like ice. "What's going on here?" a voice called from inside the gate. A slim man stepped forward, Junki. Sasha knew him. Close enough to Kwangsun to move without knocking, dangerous because of it. What are you doing here?" he snapped, eyes like knives. "Where did you get the nerve to come back?" Relief flooded Sasha so suddenly she had to steady herself on the iron rail. "I came to see Kwangsun," she said, forcing her voice steady. I'm pregnant. I just want him to know." Junki's laugh was soft and ugly. He leaned down so his face was almost in hers. "This isn't the first time," he said, tone flat. "Ladies come with the same story. Boss calls them headaches. Sometimes he requests solutions." He paused, letting the words settle. "So do yourself a favor. Disappear the pregnancy. Live quietly. Or don't, and you'll be lucky if you're found alive in the morning. Make sure he never finds you with a belly." The wind cut through her thin jacket. Sasha pressed her palm to her stomach as if she could hold herself together that way. Tears slipped hot and silent down her cheeks. She swallowed, turned, and walked away before her legs could betray her, each step heavier than the last. Meanwhile, Kwangsun stood by the tall glass window, smoke curling lazily from the cigarette between his fingers. The night stretched endlessly beneath him, Seoul glowing in gold and blue, but his thoughts were far away. He lifted his glass for another sip when a flash of movement caught his eye. Down by the gate someone walked away, shoulders slumped, head low. For a moment his breath hitched. Even from up here he could tell that walk anywhere. His chest tightened. "Boss." Junki's voice broke his trance as he stepped inside the room. Kwangsun didn't turn. "Wasn't that Sasha?" His tone came out sharper than intended, a faint tremor betraying him. "What was she doing here?" Junki froze, caught off guard by the worry in his boss's voice. No sir. Just some lady who lost her way." Kwangsun's jaw tightened. He nodded slowly, pretending to believe it, but the image of her walking away wouldn't leave his head. Something twisted in his chest. Something he didn't want to name. "Boss," Junki ventured carefully, "you've been distracted lately. Is it because of—" Kwangsun's glare cut through the air like a blade. Junki shut his mouth instantly. The silence stretched before Kwangsun finally spoke again, his voice low and cold. "We're moving out of the city tomorrow morning. My father's been pressing me to produce an heir. He crushed the cigarette in the ashtray, his reflection in the window staring back at him, hard, unreadable but burning with something dangerously close to regret. The fact that she'd been a virgin still haunted him. Kuang Sun tried not to care, tried to drown the guilt in whiskey, smoke and business, but the memory clung to him like a shadow he couldn't shake off. He told himself that once he left Seoul to stay with his father, once duty and power filled his days, he would forget her. He convinced himself she'd fade away with time. Or so he thought. 4 years passed and they were anything but easy. His father paraded countless women before him, perfect, polished, eager to bear his heir, but none of them stirred him. Not even a spark. Then one afternoon Jun Ki stepped into his office, face grim. "Boss, Sasha's gone. She went back to Africa." The words hit him harder than he expected. For a long moment Kuang Sun just stared ahead, the silence heavy. Something inside him twisted, something he'd buried years ago. Days later, standing at the airport, he caught sight of a woman walking past the arrival gate. Her skin glowed under the soft airport lights, her beauty impossible to ignore. 3 kids trailed beside her, 2 boys and a little girl clutching her hand. His heart stopped. It couldn't be. And that's the end of episode 1. But don't worry, episode 2 will be uploaded tomorrow. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to subscribe, like and share to support the channel. I'd also love to hear your thoughts. What did you think about this episode and where are you watching from?